Oliver Fade Takes It There contains strong language, intense violence, and is not intended for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome. This is Oliver Fade, and I'm bringing you the podcast that speaks the truth about the streets.
What you doing on our turf? What you doing on our turf?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Oliver Fade Takes It There, and it's the 9th episode this time. And today we have AJ. He is the founder of Southside Dreams clothing and South Ave street food. How you doing, AJ?
Good, man. Good, man. How you? Good to be here, man. I'm very excited.
Usually I got like somebody that I know very well.
Yeah.
You're someone I just met months ago.
Yeah.
Probably. Mm-hmm. Maybe a year.
About a year, yeah.
Okay, so I don't know too much about you. I'm going to get to know you today, so is the audience. Yeah. But it is cool that you're here.
Thank you for having me, man.
I'm a fan of your clothing.
Thank you, man.
I haven't tried the food yet, but...
Oh, soon. Definitely be back next year.
All right, for sure. Cool. So, why don't we start with where you're from?
All right, yeah. I'm from the southeast side of Chicago, basically the border of Indiana and Chicago. I always like to use the good term of like... I tell everybody, they're always like, oh, where are you from? Where are you from? So I always use the example of like, you know, have you ever drank a beer and like the little bit left of the beer that you don't want to drink? That's my neighborhood, man.
What you pour out?
No, just like, oh, there's like a little bit there, like the little last. But that essentially is my neighborhood. We're like the last South Side neighborhood, like in the South Side, to the point where like people don't even know we exist until like we bring them out there and they're like, this isn't South Side. And then I hate to always use that example of like, well, come check it out then. Like,
yeah. I actually didn't know it existed either until I met my fiance Susie. Shout out to Susie.
Yeah, no, me and
which
her
is how
too.
I know you.
Yeah, and her too. Like, there are a lot of people out of there. Like, some will come every little bit and be like, there'll be these creatives that come and try to like work so hard to be different and like put on the neighborhood. And she's definitely one of those people. So I'm really blessed to get to know her too.
Cool. Well, it's a cool neighborhood. I've been there. I've heard a lot goes on over there.
Yeah, it does, unfortunately.
I know Sochi, I don't know if you know who.
Yeah, Don't You Love Yosa, yeah.
No, Sochi, she's EXO Chicago.
Oh, yeah, EXO too, yeah.
So she's from over there too.
Absolutely, yeah.
When I met her, she's like, "Oh, I'm from the east side." I'm like, I don't know. I don't think Chicago has an east side, but southeast.
Yeah, southeast, yeah.
Like hundreds.
Yeah.
You're in the hundreds.
Yep, 100. I'm 105th.
Okay, so you're 105th. Represent.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
All right, AJ. So, growing up down there, what type of encounters did you have that had to do with the streets?
I mean, there were countless encounters. So, you know, I come from... It's really weird how our neighborhood is divided in blocks and, like, how certain blocks are hotter than other blocks. I happen to be on the area where it wasn't so hot.
Hotter, like, meaning, like, more violence?
As in more violence, yeah. Like, so, to break it down to you, the whole east side is broken down into 6 blocks. So from 100th to 106th is like what you would consider the lower side. From 106th to 112th is where like, okay, you're starting to get some money. And then 112th to 118th being like, your dad's a firefighter or something like that.
Oh,
so
okay.
You're more, I guess you would say, privileged to not have to deal with that over there. I had friends over there that were like, oh, my mom don't want me to go over there. Like, it's the bad side of the neighborhood. So, but...
Interesting.
It was still full of a lot of culture. It was still full of a lot of amazing things to do. I don't know. Like, it like, shaped me to understand the beauty of, like, what's good and what's bad in life, you know? So, I learned to just take it for what it was. And it's very easy to, like, get into trouble on my side of, like, where I'm from.
So, you were in a side that's pretty hot.
you would say kind of other parts are hotter, but it's like a hop and a skip away. So it's walking distance to where like you could find some shit, like to the point where like walking home from school, I've had to see like other gangs from rivals like come check, and like whoever's walking me home just hoping that like we can just walk past it. And I've seen people like get checked, or like other gangs decide to come mess with other gangs while kids are coming out of school.
Yeah. Right. Usually school is a big place where people meet up and
or just walking through the neighborhood, you know. So it was
walk.
like,
you have to walk to school, so you have to probably cross somebody's border.
Yeah, and then it was like once or twice where like I'm walking home with friends, and you know I see a sketchy gang of, they were older gang members, and another car pull up, and like people run out and chase after them, you know, and just us hoping that like we can diverse ourselves into another direction.
But they're not chasing you.
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did you ever join a gang, or were you asked to join?
So, you know, the people that know me pretty well, my family comes from a lot of gang activity. I had two, an older brother and an older sister that were very much into the gang violence in my neighborhood, and to the point where they were able to what essentially create a name for themselves. And
you said your older brother
and older sister
and sister.
Yeah.
So they were gang members.
They were gang members in the area. They were Latin Kings.
Oh, okay.
So in my neighborhood, it's just Latin Kings and Vice Lords. That's basically what it was.
Oh, okay.
And the only thing that was really separating the two was just the street. So 106th, from the moment you come.
Are they rivals?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes it gets confusing, but all I know in my neighborhood is that like Kings and Vice Lords, like that's it. And
yeah.
they just been going at it since the beginning of time, or at least since I've been little. That's all I knew.
But are they both, because in Chicago, there's like, you know, the 5 and the 6.
5 and the 6, yeah.
Folks, people.
Yeah.
Because Kings are people.
Yeah.
Are Vice Lords people?
I've never really.
I thought they were. But that's why I'm asking.
No,
I'm not
even
sure.
me. To me, like since I was little, like I seen the life that my brother and sister had, and it, you know, I feel like a lot of it happens because like when you're in like these lower income areas and you see your brother and sister or uncles and fathers doing it, like you kind of feel this righteousness to like want to be a part of it. I was lucky enough.
Were your uncles or dad?
No, it was just mainly like my brothers and sisters. It was like our home life wasn't going the best, and I guess so. What essentially like a lot of people do is like they'll find peace in other people and situations, kind of getting that sense of like family and love, and kind of still being the sense of naive to where like you can believe that a group like this can be that family, and that's essentially what happened.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So they went to that, and as I seen it, like as a kid, like I was like, yeah, you know, fuck yeah, like I want to be like that. And then I started finding myself into other things.
So you wanted to be a king when you grow up?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I wanted to be like my brother
because your older brother
and my sister, yeah, both of them, you know, and they were crazy, man. Like there were carnivals in our neighborhood that doesn't happen anymore, and like I remember walking to the car and like my sister's friends getting jumped, and my sister's literally like 4'11". And literally seeing her like drop and like boom, like fighting like two girls by herself, like just straight swinging, you know. Oh, yeah. My mom being there,
she's was tough.
Yeah, we were all raised that much that way. So, you know, I did want to be part of that. But all I was really searching for in that moment was that sense of like love from them. Mm-hmm. And then once I was able to kind of like branch off and do my own thing, that's when I realized that like, hey, like I didn't need to do this. So I got very much into. Like, I started getting into rock music. I started getting into skateboarding. I started getting into... You
switched up your what you thought of.
Yeah, because I started seeing, like, man, this seems way more fun. Like, this seems like that. Like, I'd rather get essentially hurt from, like, trying to skateboard off some stairs than I would getting jumped or shot at, like, being a gangbanger. So I found a lot of peace in that.
That's a funny way to... separated. Yeah. I'd rather get hurt by, you know, falling down these stairs than getting jumped.
Yeah. And then because I've seen it, man. I've seen how they were like coming home, like our house getting shot up, and I'm like, man, like.
So were you ever like questioned because of your brother and sister?
So I know my brother at a point, like, he had gained this sense of rank, like, where he was this big dog. And I guarantee you, he wanted me to be a part of that.
He did.
Yeah. And once he seen that, like, I didn't want to, he did get very distant. Like, nah, like, see, if you have a gang, like, people have your back. So I come from an area where, like, the rocker to ghetto ratio was, like, rocker being, like, 20%, ghetto being 80%. So, and, like, you know how it is, like, oh, let's pick on them. At the time, like, it's cool how nowadays, like, this rocker ghetto coexistence is, like, so much more acceptable. Like,
Yeah.
and I've seen it a lot. So it's changed a lot. But back then, it was very much like, nah, let's pick on him. He's different. And
yeah.
yeah, it happened a lot. And then my brother was like, see, if you were to join the gang, like, I'd have your back.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. And
That's like a whole. That's a.
so now he was like, oh, now
way of life. There.
you got to figure it out now. Which
Oh,
I
wow.
did eventually, but it was still very much like, dang, you're my brother. You're supposed to have my back. Like,
Yeah.
he
yeah.
wanted me to learn the hard way to kind of be like, oh, okay, cool. Like, now you're going to learn a life without that.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
It's crazy.
So, you have a clothing line.
Mm-hmm.
So you're into fashion, and you grew up with, gangs and people like that around you. And when we talked over the phone about doing the podcast, you mentioned, like the fashion in gang,
Yeah,
the gang
absolutely, yeah.
world. What do you think about all that? Was that inspiring to you?
So definitely, like, man, like, we grew up on, like, hood movies. Like, man, I was watching, like, hood ass movies from, like, the 90s when I
Like
was
what? Blood In, Blood Out?
Blood In, Blood Out. You have, like, Mi Vida Loca,
American Me.
like,
Nice.
South Central, Don't Be a Menace, like, Boys in the Hood. Like, we were raised on
Menace to Society.
Menace to Society is an amazing movie. Like, see, like, that kind of culture, and it goes hand in hand. So how I'm about to explain everything, like, and, like, even, like, Goodfellas, like, my brother, like, when they were younger, they started a clique. It was like, we're Deuces Wild, and, like, that was from Goodfellas. Like, they
Okay.
wanted to start their own thing, and, I seen my brother and sister diverse into their, what you would call their fashion growing
Yeah.
up.
Which was what?
So I seen a lot of, like, when the Dickies phase started coming in, I seen a lot of the Cortezes coming in. I seen a lot of my sister with the thick eyeliner.
Is that from the West Coast?
I mean, essentially, we think of, like, how it is explained and, like, being a part of it, how it's, like, West Coast culture, lowrider culture,
Yeah.
and how it was birthed in California. And anyone picking it up is kind of just, like,
By who? Mexicans?
just more of like, not exactly Mexicans, but it was more of the Chicano culture. It was
Okay.
like what they were bringing in. And
Mexican American.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what people ask me. Like, I like to identify more as Chicano because, like, I'm not from the motherland. Like, I have a lot of friends that are and adapting to their culture. My father being, a migrant.
Okay.
My brother-in-law being a migrant. And a lot of my close friends being a migrant, some of which still don't have visas. Like,
Yeah.
but still living everyday lives, still being completely successful,
Yeah.
And so, I adapted to that. And as it all went down, like, I would just start seeing how they adapted their fashion and everything. And I'm like, at first it was kind of like, what are you guys doing? Like,
So like the Cholo.
yeah, exactly. The Cholo culture. And then I seen them like that. And, being especially in a neighborhood in Chicago where it's not so popular. At the time, it was very popular. Also, my cousin's husband, he's from 95th and Ewing, and this man still dresses like this. So when I decided to create the clothing brand, I wanted to, like, nothing against people that do their thing. Like, I feel like we live in a modern day society, especially in fashion where people would create brands just to kind of, like, be hype. And hey, I never knock the hustle. If that's what you love to do, like, I support love and what people love to do. So when I created a brand, I kind of wanted it to be more special. I wanted to kind of pay homage to the culture and the streets that raised me, to my family that raised me, and something that I understood, and I wasn't just Googling pictures to try to mock. I wanted to create something pure, and especially to represent a time where, like, yeah, I was naive and I understood how my brothers and sisters were, but it was also a time I was happy. I was happy to be around my brother, not knowing what they were doing, or my sister.
Yeah.
It's kind of a time where I felt I had a family. So I wanted to incorporate that. And as I got older, having kids of my own and being completely around the Mexican culture from birth and everything, it was kind of just something I wanted to pay homage to, something I understood that was myself, and I wasn't biting off of anything.
So it is inspired by Cholo.
Yeah, it is very much inspired by that.
Gangster shit.
Yeah, gangster shit.
Even though you're not repping or trying to be gangster,
Yeah.
it's more of like the culture of
and then
where
even
that comes
and then
from.
As I started creating and digging deeper, like, I was realizing a lot of the older cats that I was around, like, a lot of them were extremely successful. A lot of them were able to dress this certain way, look a certain way, and they were able to break that stigma. And that to me was, like, extremely powerful to, like, be considered that. And then once you got to know them, they had educations, they had...
So they're dressing like baggy clothes, but they're well-spoken, or
Absolutely.
they're just
and,
intelligent people.
Yeah.
Like someone wearing a suit, that's what you like to wear.
And exactly.
Someone wearing a hairnet.
Yeah. Had the
That's
same
what you like
intelligence
to
of
wear.
someone with that. And,
Well, a hairnet, but doesn't have hair.
yeah.
Because I seen that growing up.
And
It's
to
like,
me,
you're
that-
bald, but you have a hairnet
Oh, no, I've
on.
never seen that. My brother would always have his hair slicked back. And,
Okay,
like,
but
always
still with the hairnet.
with the hairnet. And then my sister, like I said, with the deep eyeliner and the hand ties on the fingers, you know, we were constantly going to,
hand
like,
ties on the fingers.
it was like when women, they put, like, the black bracelets and they're able to tie them. It's like big chola culture. And
Oh,
like, through
okay.
the
I don't
fingers
think
and
I saw
everything.
that.
Oh, I was raised around that a lot. And what really hit home is in Hammond, Indiana, there was a roller dome. And it was literally out of, like, a scene out of, like, ATL. But it was, like, for Mexicans, man, it was, like, straight freestyle music, like, Chicano Cholo music. And it was just one day where, out of the month, I believe, where you're able to go and skate and just meet all these different people. And I would go with my brother and sister. Yeah, they were there for different reasons. It was kind of like in gang culture, like, they were there to, like, have fun, but still gangbang. I was just naive, and I was like, man, what's...
They're gangbanging, you're over here hanging out.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it was. My mother was like, man, me and my sister talk about this all the time. My mother was one of those, like, telling my sister, like, well, if you want to go anywhere, you gotta take your little brother.
Oh,
And
yeah.
and
Yeah, no, that was my mom, too.
And she's gonna go. Little did I know I'm fucking gangbanging with them on the block, like,
Without knowing.
without having any clue. And
Here,
how.
just hold his bag.
No, surprisingly, they've never made me held anything, but, like, I would just see them throw up gang signs at cars, and I'm like, I don't know what they're doing. Fuck it, like, you know?
They're saying hi.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, I had to have been, like, in, fuck, like, 3rd, 4th grade.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to have fun. I, like, see a lot of older people. I'm trying to just mix in with the crowd and be cool. I mean, cool was what essentially would be like. And it was crazy how they were always like, man, I can't believe we never got shot at with you on the block. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
that was crazy. Like, me and my sister still talk about it to this day, where it's like, fuck, man, like, thank God we never got shot at when you were out there hanging with us.
Damn.
Yeah, man. It was nuts.
That's wild. Okay, so bringing it back to this street fashion, what is some of the fashion out here that gangs have? Because I was thinking about it.
With gangs now, I mean, I feel blessed to not be around that circle. So what I would consider myself along the lines is, like, I've paid, like, homage to, not essentially, because it's not gang culture. It's just Chicano street culture. You know, how you go about dressing with that sense of knowledge is up to you.
Like, oh, okay, if you want to wear a black and gold.
Yeah.
But you're not necessarily
anything,
into gangs
Yep.
or kings, because that's the king's colors.
Yeah.
But you like those colors.
Yeah. And even though, even now,
You
like,
can't wear them, but you might get in trouble.
but I feel like it's crazy how it's adapted. So I see how what I still label it as the Chicano street culture, you know, being as like mini successful as I am now, being able to reach out with all these brands from New York and Cali, like it is definitely shifting. You know,
How?
I see it more going back to like, I mean, I wouldn't even know how to explain it. The only like brand and like I can pay homage to, and like I followed them for a little bit, and like they're probably one of the biggest street Chicano brands I think I've ever had the pleasure to come across.
Yeah.
And they're called Ghetto Rodeo.
Ghetto Rodeo.
And you know, it's a very much like, I still look at some of the pictures like, man, I don't understand fashion.
What does it look like?
I mean, it's really hard to explain. I just like,
Is
now,
it like Dickies, Ben Davis?
so now we're coming in like with baggier pants and like
baggier.
yeah, it's its own thing. But I do, even though I may not understand.
You're
it,
saying it's coming back to baggy because now it's like tights, right?
Oh, no,
now it's all tight.
oh no, now it's like very much baggy, like girls
Yeah,
that are
it's getting
wearing
baggy again.
like basically like I've seen a couple pictures of them. A girl could weigh like 115 pounds, wearing like XL pants, like you know. And like I said, I may not understand it, but I definitely appreciate
With a belt or no belt?
with a belt. But it's just like, it's crazy because now this specific brand is taking the dynamics of what a Chicano culture brand is like, elevating it to fashion to where like runway and like,
Oh
and
shit!
to
on
me,
that
I'm
level.
like, oh wow,
Because
like,
this is the streets.
this is exactly, and like, you know, they had a pop up here in Chicago maybe like 2-3 weeks ago,
Oh, okay.
and this was his first time like in Chicago, and like
Okay.
having like a line for like 2.5 hours, like no matter
Oh,
what,
to buy.
to buy his clothing, because
product,
he was
damn.
apparently coming all the way down to New York for Fashion Week,
Yeah.
and he stopped in Chicago and then went to New York, and even
Oh,
in New
okay.
York, like I said,
But it's not. It's baggy, but it's not necessarily like.
I can definitely say in the best words, it's its own thing,
It's its own thing. Okay.
and like as a clothing brand to have that type of like,
but are game bangers?
oh no, not at all.
Okay.
I mean, I don't want to word it right. I mean, word it wrong and like have it do its thing. It's kind of like I hate putting things in categories because in reality, it's just people dressing and expressing themselves, and
Sure,
that's
sure.
the most beautiful part about what
It
any
is, but
clothing-
like if you take it to the streets, you're just wearing your colors.
There's no
expressing
yeah.
yourself.
because there's really in this.
But
thing,
if you're wearing the, wrong, so to say, it's like you die because you wore these colors.
absolutely, and I'm pretty sure like
Or even in Chicago being
Absolutely.
so, it's like so sports. You notice how a lot of people like
so
sportswear?
I had a friend who plays in like a big hardcore band out in LA. They're called Rotting Out. They're like one of my biggest influences in like hardcore metal music. And I had the pleasure of talking with their guitarist for like a couple years. And apparently out there, it's like baseball caps. That is like how.
Where is this?
In LA and like San
Okay.
Diego or San Pedro. Like in this whole area, they have baseball caps.
Yeah.
Like I went out there, so you'll always see me with a sock set. Like everywhere I go, it's like my little staple is like a chef is
Yeah.
everything. Like,
Oh, okay.
To be that successful chef and like still wear a sock set 'cause that's who I am. That's where I'm from. I
And
had-
that's Chicago.
but that's Chicago. So when I went out to LA, they were like, "Hey man, you gotta take your hat off," and I'm like,
Oh, then you're getting checked.
"Why? No. Like no." But friends were telling me like friends before.
Why? Why take your hat
So
off?
there's an area in the Cali area. It's called Oxnard.
Uh-huh.
So from my understanding, there was a gang called like from South Oxnard. So the SOX, like
Oh, South Eye.
the South Oxnard, like
So that was that was their hat.
So they would bang with the Sox hats.
wow.
Or if you were in like the Pittsburgh Pirates, like with the San Pedro, like you were the Pittsburgh Pirates.
P.
Yeah. So that was their way, and I was like, holy shit! And I
Well,
was
doesn't Indiana have like a pitchfork on one of their teams?
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not 100% sure on that.
And I think even like the 2-6 wear the Sox hat.
I know a lot of like beige and black. I know that's like a lot.
Yeah,
of that,
that's their colors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I was like, so even us in Chicago, like I was telling him, like we know not to wear certain colors.
But isn't it like every color? With black in Chicago, there's like 1,000 gangs,
Yeah.
so like you can't even wear any color with black unless you know of one.
I think the crazy part that like literally saved me for like the longest time, and like a lot of us talk about this, and it's funny, but it's unfortunate. Is like man, if you got big ass gauges and like tattoos, odds are they're not gonna fuck with you.
Oh, that's true.
And that's crazy. Like, and then as going back into fashion and how it's all diversity, like you see bangers with big ass gauges now. Like everyone's adapting to that, man. Everyone's adapting to piercings and tattoos, which was kind of like this early 2000s emo hardcore look, which like I was a part of.
Yeah, you were originally into that, not because of gangster
Even now,
shit.
like I remember, man, like I see a lot of like the hype kids,
Yeah.
in, like Pilsen and other neighborhoods that are like painting their nails black, and it's like, which is essentially going into this new form of what fashion is. And I'm like, man, we were doing that way when we were like 14, 15.
But you're not saying gangbangers are doing that.
No, but it's just more like as how it's adapting.
Yeah. I
back
got
to
you.
fashion and everything like
Right,
that.
right.
But and then how the tight pants too, like bangers are doing that like crazy now. Like the tight pants with
They're still falling. They're still sagging, but they're just tight.
I've seen some from different areas that are like I have a homie who's African American from a certain hood, and man, some of their pants are tight, like super tight.
So have you heard? Yeah, I've seen that. I find it interesting because that's not how it was
Yeah.
before. But have you heard the idea behind, pants that are falling off, where that comes from? Because that's now fashion. But
Yeah.
where that comes from?
The only one I don't know is like the pocket, like the jail pocket, where it's like if your pocket's out, like inside out, like you're taken in jail. I mean, that's the farthest I've ever gone. Yeah.
Because I heard if you're like the pants sagging like that in jail is like, that means that, you're looking to get,
Yeah, absolutely. No, I've never heard that one before.
get it from the back.
Yeah.
So
Whoever
like,
it is,
Right. So, but in the streets, it's fashion.
Yeah.
You're not like necessarily.
Or like you're hard. You have this like machismo mentality, like, it's crazy, yeah.
But now it is fashion because even the tight pants, but still sagging. Now they're trying to get like some different color underwear to show. And
No, I've never heard that. I never heard that once, yeah. But like as it adapted, I just seen how it's going crazy. Like, and shout out Ghetto Rodeo. Like, I met the guy once, and like to seeing what like they're doing with like this culture and fashion is like, hey man, like.
Yeah.
I've said countless times I may not understand it fully because I'm still stuck on my like Dickies, Cortez, bandanas. Like, man, I barely see people rocking just straight white tees and black tees. Like, that's me all the time. Like, if you know me, if I'm going out and I'm wearing a white tee, 95% of the chance I have another white tee on me just in case this one gets dirty. Just so I can put another one on.
Okay.
And that's how I was raised.
Remember that song, "Bang in My White Tee"?
Yeah, and
like that's gangster shit.
And then they did a pink tee one and a black tee one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was just crazy, but seeing it now, like I said, I say like I don't understand it fully, but like, man, is my hat tipped off? Like, I just want to see like, essentially with this.
You don't understand what fully?
Just how the idea of fashion is going. Like now, like
I got you.
Another big thing to me is like
it's evolving. Yeah, no,
but
I mean
like the one thing that like me now and like so I always raised poor, like lower income.
Was it because you were poor?
It was just that my parents made enough, but they were okay with that. Like, I learned to respect everything. Something as simple as like you go to someone's house and like you get like they offer you a meal. You accept that meal and then you're grateful for that meal. Like they don't have to do none of that. So growing up, every time we went to go for uniforms, like school uniforms, I went to the secondhand store.
Okay.
And that's not even called a secondhand store no more. If you're going to Segunda, it's like you're going to the Segunda.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
La Segunda.
And that's what I was like, fuck, man, like, I don't want to, my mom would be like, well, what can we do? And then my dad would tell me to go find the nicest pair of shoes and so you can take them home and clean them up. Like, that was me raising up.
Yeah.
Now we live in a world where that's called thrifting. And, like, that's crazy.
Thrifting.
There's another word. There's another word. Like, thrifting culture is like, hey, like I said.
So it's cool to do that.
Now it is. At least before, like, I'm pretty sure there are a lot of us in the, like, Chicano, African American, no matter what race you are, there was a point in time where, like, we had the struggles of, like, hey, we don't have it now. It could change later. But unfortunately, right now we just need to shop here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the
$50
I can go to a store and get you 2 things.
Yeah.
I can get you 20 things.
Get the
here.
whole family something.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's just unfortunate times. And
No, that's how I grew up too.
of it.
I mean, I didn't see anything wrong with it until I learned that it was, frowned upon in school.
Because then I was going and
roasting on you. Now it's like, what? Like,
oh, you caught that, bro? Like, damn, that's what's up. You only paid $10 for that? Like, man, I went, during the time where I was in grammar school, it was like you had G-Unit shoes and, like Jinko jeans or just different things. And like, you look at, the kids will wear them to school on purpose or like wait for picture day or for the dance to like flex out.
Yeah.
I never had that opportunity,
Yeah. Oh, that's
like I would still wear the same school uniform or like whatever paisa shit that my mom and dad can conjure up for me. And like,
it's interesting that you're like doing a clothing line, even though like, cause you were looking at these fashion things going on, but not necessarily like having the hands-on experience with them. You were more like admiring it.
Absolutely. I'll always be like, as a kid, and I'll never be like ashamed of like growing up. I was definitely a window shopper. I looked at like things that my family couldn't afford, and it was always like, one day,
Yeah.
That's why now, like, I feel blessed to be in a position and be a full-time father and like be able to get my kids like the best I can. I'm not out here like spoiling them like crazy, but like, we can go to Old Navy, but a little step up.
With all due respect to the hood mentality is, whatever's in fashion, like even if it's, $300 and people are struggling, they'll spend that $300.
Oh yeah. It's
just to be like, I got the whatever.
Yeah.
The, Jordans, whatever. Like, what do you think about those numbers? What do you think about,
I mean, it's crazy.
Selling, clothes and brands for that much?
So one thing about a lot of my items, preferably, like people always tell me like, why don't you go to jackets? Why don't you go to like joggers? Essentially things that, I will get up to.
Yeah.
But like hoodies, shorts, and like t-shirts right now, not only because I'm starting off, because like I want to make it affordable. I want to make like to where like this $25, $30 shirt or this like $40, $50 hoodie is affordable. It has a message. It's supporting the culture. It's for the streets. And like, I want to be able to like buy something off me. You're supporting me. My name is getting out there, but it's still something affordable where you can represent. And like, I feel like in that circle, like everyone's winning. The artist, whoever I am collabing with that shirt, is like, they're getting noticed, even though their commission is paid. And what I do with that image is completely up to me. But like, I feel like in that process, everyone's winning. It's a full circle effect. Like
even the customer.
Yeah, they're enjoying it. Like, I have so many people hit me up like, oh my God, I love this shirt. Like, I wear it here. Or to all the people that send me pictures, like if they're at the gym, if they're outside, like rocking the shirt, like I'll always share that. That to me is like, it lets me know that what I'm doing is completely worth it. Like, I'm coming out here with a hope and a dream. Like,
yeah.
And when I see this process, like, it's amazing. But a lot of these brands like Jordan, like we all have Jordans. I myself am guilty.
I actually don't. I never have. I'm not against Jordans, but as a musician who uses analog equipment, which is very expensive.
Yeah. See,
I'm like, I think I'm gonna buy this, synthesizer instead of these Jordans.
See, that's beautiful
because they cost too much.
So to me,
they're cool, but like the price ain't for me.
You don't even want to get me started with like the whole aftermarket thing. But I can fully admit I am guilty. I love Jordans. Like, there are certain types of Jordans, certain colorways of Jordans.
So why do you like Jordans? Because of the branding.
I mean, I just like how it's evolved. How it used to go street, and now you have people.
It was totally street,
and now you have.
The hood brought that to the table.
But you have people like rocker fools that are like rocking that shit now, and we're doing it in our own way. And
what'd you say right now?
Like
what was that
rocker,
term?
Like everyone said, like rocker fools, or you're a rocker.
Rocker fools?
Yeah. You know, so
Interesting.
everyone's like
I haven't
that.
heard that.
When I went to LA, a lot of the times they're like, "Oh, you're a rocker fool," or like, and even like
Which means what? Like you're
rocker
just rocking
fool,
it
you're
to-
just like
trying to show off?
no, rocker fool would identically be like you're like, or before you're a rock and roller, you're somebody that
Okay.
listens to like rock, metal,
Yeah,
whether you're emo
yeah.
or metal, like, you know, a rocker fool. Like you're just, you know,
Yeah.
and it was like I was always raised a rocker fool. I was playing in bands since I was like 13 years old.
So what were you trying to wear? Chuck Taylors, maybe?
So back in the day, we had a lot of Vans.
Vans.
I was skating a lot, so you know, whatever, like good skate shoes were out there, or like
the gangbangers were wearing
Jordan.
Chuck Taylors.
Oh yeah,
If you were in the 5 Point Star
Yeah.
neighborhood.
yeah.
Because I got checked in my neighborhood talking about why you're wearing Chucks. And it's my own like neighborhood. Like, what? I don't even know what you're talking. You
No,
know?
see, yeah. So I never had that. I don't know. I guess because like how I was explaining earlier, like there are certain parts of the neighborhood where you know are hot,
Yeah.
and a lot of us knew how to like the rocker fools were able to just like, okay, we're going over here, and we would go to the richer neighborhoods not only because there was a skate park over there,
Okay.
but because like the forest preserve was there. That's when we went to go smoke bud and like
Okay.
go to the forest. And like,
Yeah, that's nice.
like we stood away from that because like we didn't want to deal with that. A lot of us were like, so in my neighborhood, there's a street called Ewing. Mm-hmm. You could literally take it from the beginning of 100th Street all the way down to 118th.
Okay.
And all the homies that lived on like 100th, oh, I'm leaving my house right now, bro. Be on Ewing in like 4 minutes.
Oh.
So I would skate to Ewing and then
Yeah.
meet up with them, and then we'd like start grouping up and calling other
Nice.
people. So by the time we got to like 118th, there was like 12 of us already, and then we just would skate. It was the nicer part of the neighborhood. We knew to like, we don't want to deal with shit. A lot of them come from where brothers and sisters.
That's a nice escape.
Yeah. So a lot of them came from the same home situation that I came from.
Yeah.
And a lot of us found peace in like skateboarding and
Yeah.
going to shows. And like, yeah, we may have picked up, like, we still laugh about it. We may have picked up those hood characteristics, which was like being 16 years old, like going to the liquor store, like, hey, you think you could buy us some beer? Like, we'll buy your beer for you, you know?
I
Like,
feel like everybody's on that.
yeah, but we were
Everybody
doing that.
who can't buy their own liquors.
But
on
we were just, like I said, those rocker fools, like going to like the nicer neighborhoods and going to those house shows where like certain garages had like 5 bands playing, and we'd go there like drinking up and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
hiding up, like, you know, with those same hood and intentions, but we weren't just violent. You know, a lot of us were just like trying to have a good time, meet girls and like meet friends and like go in the mosh pits, like at that age, you know. So
Yeah, no,
that
that's
was
cool.
that was our cool way of escaping. You know, it was our way.
That's
of,
awesome.
Yeah.
Maybe, you know, so whoever's listening who's, you know, thinking about game banging can go skateboarding.
Absolutely.
instead.
The thing is that the streets have so much to offer. Like
It's there. You just have to seek
Yeah.
it out.
And I feel like a lot of times people in homes like mine, a lot of them don't have that. You know, the fact that I was able to choose a different life, I've already was like able to see the positives. I don't know anyone else's home life. Some people may not be able to.
Yeah.
That relative
Yeah,
that you had
sure.
that's game banging might be your only person in your family that you have.
Yeah.
So following them may be your only step.
Yeah.
Goes back to like, I bring this up a lot, like resources. Some neighborhoods don't have that.
Yeah.
Or like a shelter or just a space where kids can be unique and be their own and not have to worry about that. Sometimes gang culture is your only life.
Yeah.
It's like embedded in you. It's like the military.
Yeah.
It's no different. Like my father was a Marine, my brother was a Marine, I'm a Marine. Like it's literally the same.
Yeah. Yeah. Damn.
Like you're gonna go to military school. You're gonna do this. Like, yes, Dad. I just want to make you proud. I wanna
That's
be
a
like,
good
you know?
way to put it, because
And that's the exact truth. you
I've
know?
seen that. Yeah.
I've seen it too.
Wow.
And both of them will come in the middle, and both have the same mental issues, and suffer from the same mental issues as like you are going to the military, as you are joining a gang.
Right.
The odds of you making it back are about the same. And
then-
if you're able to withstand it all, and then meet where you're finally done with your service,
you're gonna suffer from all this
yeah,
mental illness.
Yeah, and it's insane. Like, it's-
Speaking of mental illness, it's Suicide Awareness Month.
absolutely.
We're in September, in case somebody's listening in July, because I don't know when they're going to listen.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But let's talk about that.
Absolutely.
So, you know,
yeah.
this is a tough topic, but it needs to be talked about.
Absolutely. And that's one of the main reasons I was so happy to be on part of this podcast in this episode. Like, suicide awareness is something that is like very familiar with me, but I'm also like something I love to talk about, and I feel like it needs to be talked
Familiar how? Why do you say that?
So, you know, I was always raised with mental health, like situations. You know, when my mother was pregnant, like family issues were so hard that like she wanted to take her life, to the point where like it was almost hereditary to me. And being around.
And how do you know that? She told you this?
Yeah, me and my mother is like my best friend.
Oh, okay.
Me and my mother, like if anyone that's seen me vent, like I bring my mother with me.
Oh, okay.
In the process of like, I never know, you know, both of us never know. Me and my brother both take the bus to work. We both expose ourselves to any situation, any time of the day. And to be able to bring my mother along this like journey is very, very important to me. To have her see like, man, you know what? Like, I never know when my last day is, but at least I know my son is out here trying.
Yeah.
He's doing the best he could. He's an amazing father. He's working hard. He could be doing other things, but no, he is literally pursuing his dreams and trying his hardest, because nothing's guaranteed in life.
Yeah.
You know, with this fashion thing, I create in hopes of being successful enough to leave something for my daughters. That is like my goal.
Nice.
To be able to show them that like, mija, like I have 2 little girls, like being able to show them that they can do whatever they want in life. As a father, for me, that is the biggest thing I could do for them.
Awesome.
And just allowing them to be free and like, hey, if you go to college, if you go do these things, then I'm going to love you no matter what.
Yeah.
But just letting them know that expanding your brain and being creative, like I'm never going to look at you differently for being a creative. Like,
yeah,
you can do whatever you like. So to me, that's very important. So
that's really cool that you have a relationship with your mother that way, though.
Yeah, and growing up, like seeing a lot of what I did, I come from, you know, I've accepted it a lot. Like I come from a broken home where like everyone's always fighting. My family still to this day, like some of us don't talk. Some of us are very much like on this side or that side. So I just always had to do that. And just the biggest mistake I've always learned was never dealing with my problems. You know, we come from an area, especially from like my dad and my brother. These men cannot talk about their feelings to save their life.
Yeah.
My brother was like, I'm going to be in a gang and I'm going to be as violent as I can.
Yeah.
And that was his way of like, at least I believe, like punishing, or his way of just like dealing with how
releasing.
Yeah, how bad everything was. And my father comes from Mexico, to where like his father was an alcoholic and they had no money. So he comes to the U.S. and builds his life for themselves. And my father's the type of person, as long as there's money in his pocket, he is happy. And who around him chooses to accept that is up to you. And if not, he can really care less. That's just how they are.
Yeah.
Both of them. So they were very much active in my life to a point. You know, my brother decides to join this gang and then leave. Like, I'm going to go do me. And then my father, with this work mentality, like, I have to work as much as I can. And as long as I gave my son life, that's about the most I can do.
Yeah.
So I was around my sisters a lot. And just kind of like adapting the life of a woman was always what I was used to. And as it progressed, I started adapting to more feelings and more looking at life through the both sides of a man and a woman. And then understanding a lot of that. And as I seen life goes on, like everyone started moving out. Life got really bad, and like I ended up being alone. So it was just me, my mom, and my dad.
Okay.
You know, my sisters moved out. Everyone's like, fuck this, and that. So like, where I'm alone. You know, my sister hated bringing me around. My brother didn't want to do this because he's like, fuck this, man. I'm going to go gangbang. My other sister's like, I hate my family. I'm going to go move out. And then the other one too. So that's just like a lot of fighting, and everyone left. So I'm the youngest. You know, I try to find relationships with friends and all this other stuff. So all these years of damage, like, I just bottled it up. I bottled it up to the most I could because I can't be weak. You know, like, And that's the one thing
Weak
about
how? Like, what do you mean
So-
by you can't be weak?
and, there was a lot of us at a time where like, I'm glad that the stigma has changed, but there was a point in time where men couldn't talk about their feelings.
I mean, I still like that
But
to a certain extent.
But before we had no extent.
Right. No, it was worse before.
My brother would always be like, "Man, you sound like a bitch, man." Now I'm like,
Right. No, still.
and
People
then-
still talk shit.
And then mi papá siempre estaba como like, "Oh, porque eres un chillón?" Like, siempre está chillando. No mames. Like, that's how he always was, man. It's how it always was.
Yeah.
And the only one that was defending me was like my mom.
Yeah.
Pues déjalo. So, like,
Everyone has feelings.
Yeah.
Male, female, whatever. But for some reason, it's been harder for males.
yeah.
I don't know where that comes from.
It's just that like I hate what you would call it like old times where it's like men got to be the breadwinner.
But do you think we evolved to that for a reason? Like, there's no room for, emotions because you gotta, I don't know, take care of. I don't even know.
Yeah.
I don't understand it myself.
Yeah, so-
I'm with you. I'm like,
Yeah.
everybody should be able to express themselves
Exactly.
and release whatever's going on and have an understanding.
So I was lucky enough to have this conversation with a group of my friends. I may not know what it's like for like African American household or like a Caucasian household, but in like in a Latino household, like I feel like in olden times, like or like our parents or our parents' parents, like there wasn't anxiety, depression, or maybe there was, but they were stuck in this. Like,
Absolutely, there was.
Like I can't. Like I have to. I got to brush it off. And now us in this
Hold it in.
yeah, and us in this newer generation, like, sometimes we want to just stay, like, I just want to stay home, man, like that. And then, like I've seen it personally with, like, the mother of my kids. I would see the way her mother was, like, my baby mama battled depression, too.
Yeah.
And the way her mother would be like, in Spanish, like, "Oh, you're lazy. Get up and clean." Like, even though my baby mama would be going through, like, this
Yeah.
episode. And I've seen friends who were like,
But her mother didn't
"Oh,
understand.
no,"
her.
because she fully didn't believe in what anxiety and depression was.
Ah.
It was just like, "We'll go work." Or
I mean, it's ignorance at the end of
Yeah.
the day. You just don't know any better.
and, like, even my mom is, like I said, my biggest supporter. But when it comes to my mental health, my mom is the worst person to talk to about that.
So is she having trouble understanding it? Is that
I
what-
think the way it really was just kind of like,
Is she going to be listening and being like, I do understand?
No, absolutely. But no, me and my mom are very, very open,
Okay,
We're
so
very-
you'll talk.
Oh, absolutely. And she'll be like, her favorite thing to say is like, "Well, don't think about it." Or, "Well, don't let it get to you."
Oh,
And it's just
okay.
like, man, like,
I mean, everyone has their own way of dealing with things,
yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Like, redirecting your mind to something else could be helpful.
Yeah.
But addressing a problem
But what that
could
al-
also be helpful.
But the only thing that's going to do, and I did it for so long, was just kind of like,
you mean like redirecting and ignoring it?
yeah, because
What is it going to do?
it's still there, and you're going to implode. Like, it is going to happen.
Right. Something bad is
And
building.
in November, like, that was my biggest episode. Like,
In November of this past year?
November of 22.
Okay.
So, like,
Almost a year ago.
yeah, and, like, everyone always told
What
me.
happened in November?
So in November, I think it was just life. I think life, I had gotten into a new relationship with somebody in last year, September. I seen what was like the downside of like my old clothing brand. I didn't want to be creative anymore. Like, I felt like no one understood me. I feel like the people that I loved, like, I'm the type of person my mom always raised me to be like, life is beautiful and you need to be there for people.
Okay.
You need to be the light. You need to be there to help others. Even if people aren't going to help you, you need to be different. And I did that for so long to the point where I ignored my mental health. I worried about others. Mm-hmm. And when I imploded, I think I had that sense of like just hope that like I can fall and they were going to catch me because I was there to catch them. And when I realized that I fell and nobody was there, like, it devastated me. It like hurt me into a part of my soul where I was like, all this time I spent helping others, wanting to be the symbol of like, we're going to make it.
Yeah.
Not everyone had the same mentality.
Yeah.
And it took a toll on me. I like self-destructed my life. I pushed away the girl I was dating at the time. I didn't really care about anything. The only thing I wanted to do more than life itself was I wanted to die. Like, it was time.
Oh, shit.
So I just was like, dude, it was the closest thing. And anyone that's been there, and that's the thing that's so beautiful to talk about it. Like, I know countless people that have been there. It almost feels like a possession. It almost feels like the closest thing I can describe it to. Like, I wouldn't know what like a demonic possession is, because like we only see it in movies.
Oh, like you're possessed?
To the point where like, so it's like,
Interesting.
to the point where there's this black hole like into my soul, and like it was literally telling me like, yo, it's time to go. Like, it's time to go. The pain was just like, if you have a physical pain, like you cut yourself, like you could put a Band-Aid on it. If you burn yourself, there's like burn remedies. Like if your throat is hurting, whatever, if your physical body is hurting, there's got to be a way to like stop the pain.
Stop the pain by dying.
No, but like, as in like, no, but I mean like I said, if you burn yourself, you could put ice on it, or
Yeah.
like that, or like if you have a headache.
So how do you stop the pain?
And to me, there wasn't. Like, there was this eternal pain, and it was like in the pit of my soul. Like, it was like in the pit of my soul, and it was like overcoming everything. It was just like, no matter what I could think of that was gonna make me happy, there was like,
It wasn't.
like I was like, think of your kids, and the only thing I was like, no, your kids don't deserve to see you suffer. Like, they don't deserve to see their dad moping around here. Like, they're gonna remember you. They're gonna remember you, and your family's gonna watch over them, and everyone's gonna talk about you, and they're always gonna love you.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and that all the people that you helped, like, and this is the one big thing too with like mental health, or even.
But
with,
really, you're going to damage them.
yeah, absolutely, and and as I go on to the story, like my kids ended up being like my saving grace. So, and then one thing that always kind of upsets me, but I always definitely bite my tongue on it, is like, I've seen people come and go. Like, that's street life, we've seen people come and go. And when they're alive, people aren't picking up the phone. People aren't, hey man, like, when was the last time you seen someone message somebody just to be like, hey, I just hope you're okay.
Yeah. No, it's rare. It's
like,
rare.
you were on my mind. Like, I hope you're doing well.
Right.
Are you good, bro? Like, can I do anything for you? Those messages to friends, family, are very, very much not passed.
Yeah.
Like, and that's crazy.
Yeah.
We talk about mental health or death or Chicago life, and to the point where like no one even says goodbye in Chicago anymore. It's be safe.
Be safe.
Like, that's crazy. Like, no one's saying like, all right,
true.
take it easy, bro. Hey, dog, hey, be safe, bro.
Be safe.
We all say that to each other. All right, be safe, bro. Like,
I remember when COVID was happening, and the news or somebody mentioned it that was not necessarily like a Chicago thing. And they were like, oh, now people say be safe instead of, die. And it's like, that's the Chicago thing since I could remember.
So it like always hurt me to like, well, people are here. But the moment someone passes, everyone and their fucking mama is there.
Yeah.
Crying.
Right.
And especially with mental health, man, I've had 2 friends pass away to suicide.
Oh, shit.
I literally, like, I'm going to go on this. So I had literally 2 friends pass to suicide. And the one thing I would overhear at these wakes is like, oh, if only I knew. If only, like, they would have spoken out to me. And I'm like, did you not see this motherfucker's Facebook post? Like, this man was calling out for help. Like, literally calling out for help.
Damn.
And this is new.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, one of the best things about this brand is I've had people, like, especially during the Stay Positive Food, like my release this month, people come out and reach out to me like, oh man, thank you for telling your story. Like, I'm very open about my story. Like, the one thing I can tell anybody that's listening, that's battling suicide or battling anything like that, as weird as it sounds, you need to embrace the failure. You need to embrace, like, the pain. pain is a beautiful thing because we are very much in love with the idea of when good things happen. We embrace that. But a lot of us don't want to embrace the low because it hurts. Because it's an eternal pain that we can't express. The one thing, at least for me, was embracing the eternal pain is a beautiful thing. Allowing yourself, it's like you're shedding your skin. Whatever pain it is that you're going through, it is a lesson. It is something that we need to learn out of this pain. And if we can make it out of this pain, if by the grace of God or whatever it is that you believe in, when this is over, you're going to look back at this and you are going to be extremely happy that you were able to go through this pain. Because of this pain, you are stronger than you were. Some are going to be harder than others. And the fact that if you could just hold on and not take your life, like I know that feeling. I physically know that feeling myself. And I think my daughters and everyone all the time that I'm still here. The fact that I'm still here is literally a miracle. And it's something that I embrace very much.
Wow.
That in every situation that I see something bad's going to happen, we don't like it. This week for me personally has been an awful week. It's just been like life has just been
life sucks.
Life has just been kicking my ass this week.
Yeah, right.
Testing me through all of my lessons.
We go through that, and that was very well put. How you just said that, because that's real shit.
Hell yeah, because it is, man. It does get better. Like it really does.
I mean, I see some people on social media, and it's pretty negative, and it's so tough, and it's like, man, like it's just gonna get harder.
But then even sometimes
it's just gonna get harder, man.
I've even done it where like I'll see old friends post stuff like that, and it's as simple as like I'll reach out to them. If they choose to address the situation, it's up to them.
Yeah,
but
you did your part.
Into at least, or I've had strangers message me, tell me like how that's helped them.
Yeah.
And I'll never disregard any supporter of my brand or anybody that just wants to message me. I'm not this cool guy, man. Consider myself like I'm still lame as fuck in my eyes, man. Like,
I mean, that's your opinion. Yeah, you're entitled to your opinion. And
I
think you're cool, but
absolutely. But to me, I'm just like I said, like some people do whatever it is, a clothing brand, as a restaurant, or like as a DJ, this and that. They do it because you want to express yourself. What happens after that? You're kind of out of your control.
Right.
If you become, in the eyes of the city, in the streets, successful, that's out of your control. You're just being yourself, and you're allowing the people to radiate off of the energy that you're putting out there.
So if you were to, I mean, you gave a pretty good, strong message just now. But do you have any recommendations if somebody, let's say, is going
absolutely
through it,
so
like what they could do, maybe a book or
so the one thing to me that helped
a program out there, something that's helpful.
So one of my close friends, her name is Cassandra. She's like my best friend. I like want her to manage both of my brands one day, like when the resources come. And she's seen how bad I was going, and she brought up the idea of therapy. Before, God forbid you don't have insurance. The line to get therapy is, I remember my sister was like, reach out to, I was literally calling like 1-800 hotlines for like a month because it was free. And I tried to get into therapy.
They're not available. Is that what you're saying?
Like, we have our next availability is like 4 or 5 months. I'm like, I'll kill myself by then, bro.
Oh my God.
Shit, like this 40 got.
I'm trying to kill myself right now, man. You can't help me right now?
No.
So what'd you do?
So my friend reached out, and she's like, well, she was going to a therapist where they're like fresh out of college, and they are not licensed therapists, but they're building their portfolio on being a therapist. She's like, it's something AJ can like.
It's something.
Can we just do it?
So therapy
was a beautiful thing. Therapy allowed me to identify a lot of this, and it's great that we're on these topics because like of all these bad things I told you, like growing up and all that.
Yeah.
I learned to identify that, hey man, that wasn't your fault.
It's out of your control.
You were just living.
Yeah.
And a lot of us look back and like, why was I this? Was I that?
Right.
Like, dude, that wasn't your fault.
Yeah.
You had no say in that. You were just living.
Right.
And now we're at an age where we can take that and make our lives better.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that some of us have gone through horrible, horrible shit.
Right.
Some different than others. Some that even myself or yourself may never understand.
Yeah.
But it is still like that wasn't your fault.
Right.
Identifying your traumas, identifying your triggers, and putting in the work. Everyone loves you. Everyone deserves to live, and everyone deserves to be happy. A lot of these people that do evil shit, like, it's a reaction from their childhood.
The trauma.
Or it could be even like we see where people are shooting up schools and they're rich ass kids, and people will always say, well, you're rich. Like, what are you upset about? But not justifying the crime they did was right. But do you know that person's life?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe something as simple as you're poor, but you have a family that loves you.
Mm-hmm.
And you have people in your corner and support you and show you this acceptance. This kid in this mansion may not have anyone give a fuck about him. Mm-hmm. This girl that's going through whatever it is, people have friends in the LGBTQ community that like go through transitions and different things and the hell stories they go through, man. Like,
yeah.
And all in regards of just trying to find their happiness and peace. Like, I think just showing love to everybody, even if it's some stranger on the street, like, it creates this cycle of love and hope.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Where
spread that good energy.
And then when you do that, like, the bum, okay, say you got a big ass check and they see this poor person. What they do with that money you give them, that's out of your hands.
That's on them.
You're just trying to bring good in the universe.
Yeah.
You see an old lady coming behind you, even if it may take her a second to get to the door, just hold it open for her. Mm-hmm. It's not that hard. You could be tired from work on the fucking train and the bus, man. You see the lady pregnant or with the kid, just let them sit down, man. Just bring that good energy into the universe. Like, you know, like, to me, you got to be that. There's so much awful shit going on in the world. Just by you doing that, you have no idea how much that was a fragment into this circle of goodness. Just by you doing that little piece, man.
That's what's up.
And you got to be like that. And like, even with that, because doing that could bring good hope into you. You know, I was lucky enough to go back to that and find therapy.
So it feeds your own soul into.
And then once I seen that, like, my last suicide attempt, man, it was crazy. Like I was telling you, it was literally climbing a bridge in my neighborhood. The only thing I was thinking to myself was like, you're going to kill yourself in your neighborhood, and then everybody's going to be like, damn, if only we knew. Like, and that sounds kind of psychotic. I can admit that. It sounds like, it does show like some type of toxic behavior. You're going to kill yourself over like recognition. My biggest mistake in life was not being proud of myself for the work that I put. All my life, I wanted recognition from my family, from my friends, for my business, for everything. Because as much as it sucked, I never got that love at home. I was always looked at as the burden. I was the little brother that was spoiled because my mom, like, just all this drama that was going on, my mom held on to me because I was a baby. My sisters would look down at me like, fuck you, man. You should see the horror shit they would do to me when my fucking parents would go to the bailes, bro. Like, they were, like, locking me in closets, bro. They were, like, doing all this crazy shit.
You know, they want to party. They don't got to take care of a little kid.
Yeah.
Just put them in the closet.
Yeah, so it was crazy, man.
Traumatizing you.
Yeah, man. And once I did all that, like, you know, it was just all that. I just wanted to die, man. I just wanted to die. I wanted nothing.
So you wanted to jump off a bridge?
Yeah. So I climbed the bridge, and it was time.
And you were up there. You were
so
looking down.
Yeah. I grabbed it. It took me, like I said, I was laughing like, man, it took your fucking chunky ass like 45 minutes to get up there, but you're up there. And I'm looking down, man. On the peaceful side, it was probably one of the most beautiful views I got to see of my whole neighborhood.
Okay.
And at least if I was going to go out, it was going to go with that. I don't know what brought me down. Still to this day, I have no idea what brought me down.
Was it a thought about family? Was it
No, I don't know. I just think
you got cold? You needed a jacket? Like,
no. So it was last November, man.
it's cold in November.
And I think it was just like this brief thing that was like, nah, you're not ready yet.
Okay.
I don't know. It was brief. It was
something
like
just.
It was just.
Not,
it was
not your time.
Just enough to get me down.
So you seek therapy.
Absolutely, but the one thing that like made it or what allowed me to change was like, I came home and my mom had no idea what the fuck just happened.
That's crazy.
Some friends knew. What happened that night later, I won't talk about, but it was just like, as the days progressed, I'm just like, fuck, man, I should have just did it. This is awful. I fucking.
Oh, it didn't get so much better.
No.
So quick.
But like, I'd be sitting there like, man, like with this, like, yeah, I think I'm gonna do it tonight. Fuck this. Maybe I over.
So you kept thinking about it.
I kept thinking about it for days.
Damn.
Until my daughter. So I live with my daughter's. Like, I'm a full-time father, and they would just come to me, look at me like, I love you, Papa, like without any.
Oh wow.
And as the day progressed out, like them not knowing that their dad was just days away from never coming through that door again.
Wow.
And as the day progressed, like, I don't know, I just think it was like a sign from everything. I'd come home depressed as fuck. I'd walk to the door, Papa. They're like, Papa, Papa, like just like fuck, man, like.
It's crazy how that works.
Damn, man, like shit, like, Papa, I love you, and they'll grab my arm before you go to sleep. Papa, like, I love you, Papa, like. And
maybe they sensed.
I don't know, man. But I knew through them, as the days progressed on, I knew I had a chance. Wow. And then that's when my friend gave me the idea of therapy.
Okay.
So I called the therapy. I'm like, yeah, whatever, bro. Let's just get turned down again like every other fucking 4 months. Like, I'm going to do this. Oh, your therapy can start Monday. And I'm like, it's Thursday. Like, like next Monday or the Monday? Or the next month
Which
Monday?
Monday?
And they're like, no, this Monday.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like this Monday. Oh yeah, it's like a 45-minute session. Like,
awesome.
Holy shit.
Okay.
And it was this gentleman, and he was like, hey man, I'm not licensed yet. I'm going to be licensed, hopefully one day. So this is where we're at. The first day he was like, let's find some connections, man. So tell me about yourself.
Cool.
And I just like a fucking tidal wave, like a fucking tsunami of emotions. I just laid everything on this guy. And he's like, oh
shit.
So we got a lot of work to do.
Oh,
but
wow.
He never looked at it like it was like, fuck, you know what? Maybe we should try to give you to someone else. He never once gave me that. You could tell the look in his face, and he was like, you know what? Next Monday, I'm going to have some paperwork for you, or some things together, and we're going to start this process.
Oh, shit.
He never looked at it like
so it helped you?
Oh, man, it saved my life.
Damn.
So when I first started, he's like, you know what, man? We do need a lot of work. How are you... how about we do Mondays and Fridays? And like, I'm like, fuck, I get to therapy twice a week? Hell yeah. Like, Fridays were like, if that was the old age, that's the nights I go out and party and just be stupid.
But you're in therapy.
I would come straight home and like, boom, like, I was managing a food truck at the time, like living my food truck dreams, and like they'd be, oh, let's go out. I'm going to therapy, man. Like, I was looking forward to therapy. And then I was taught lessons, and I was taught things to adapt and finding connections. Me and him had this like weird Dragon Ball Z, like using me as like a Goku reference.
Oh, yeah.
He would try to use his like different things, and because anime is like a big thing to me. So he was like, I don't know any of the animes you're talking about, bro, but like I do know Dragon Ball. All right, so cool. So we got something that's
nice.
gonna like use as a reference, and we're just using these like Dragon Ball references, and he loved Dragon Ball as much as I did. So I'll remember this episode when Goku was trying to do this and this, like,
yeah.
And man, it was like that. And then I found process, and then I found Southside Dreams. I found the urge to create again.
Cool. I
found that like you can do this. Essentially what happened was like the spark lit again.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can fucking do this, man.
You felt the will.
Yeah, I can do this
and do shit.
And nothing against my old neighborhood, man, because I'm still live there and it's still my home. It's
Well,
always
that's what
good.
you represent.
Yeah, that's who I always will be. But my old clothing brand was like South Dev Clothing. And it was like, I'm going to save the neighborhood. I'm going to be this light, and I want to take my neighborhood and I want to show the whole Chicago scene that, like, we're valid, that we're important, that the fact that we're so far don't count us out.
Yeah.
And yes, that's still my journey, but, like, I think for once in my life, it was okay to be selfish and be like, you know what, guys? Like, this journey's for me.
I'm going to do me.
I'm gonna do for once. I'm gonna do for myself.
Yeah, that's what's up.
And
you've been doing good.
And it was the best decision of my life. All because I held on.
Yeah.
You know, I was able to push through a lot, and I'm still going through a lot to this day.
I mean, it's a work in progress.
Yeah, and absolutely.
And that's what life is, essentially.
But it's put me across people that I'm glad to meet, like yourself, and all these other things where I'm starting to meet all these creatives. And then we're having sit downs, and they're like, "You've been there too?" Like, holy shit! Like, welcome, bro. Like,
no, I'm glad you're sharing all this information because it's real shit. People deal with it.
And there's a lot of us that I think that, you know, we go to these, like, you being a DJ, we go to these clubs and, like, okay, like, Oliver Fade's on. Like, I remember seeing you at Pilsen Fest, and, like, everybody was like, "Oh shit, Oliver Fade," and your set, like, was just killed it, man. It was like
Thanks,
you knew
man.
how to, like, mix house with, like, which would you call, like, the West Coast hip hop scene, and I was like, this is awesome, man. Like,
nice, thanks.
And then all these DJs that, like, I know personally were just, like, destroying that little fucking van stage, man.
Raw.
And some of which, like, you would have never thought that they share simulators with me. Like,
Yeah.
Same with clothing lines. Same with, like, painters and artists and all these big Chicago creatives that we're, like, in this amazing city. They all have these horror stories to where, like, what they do saved their life.
Real talk.
And that's
everybody's got some hard shit going on.
And I think that's what makes us, like, so beautiful as a city, like, especially the South Side. Like, everyone always asks me, they're like, "Yo, AJ, like, what is Southside Dreams? Like, what is that? What does that mean?" And I always break it down to them really quick, man. And I won't take no one's time too much. It's like, so in my city, like, Chicago's crazy, but it's always the South Side that gets the worst rep. I don't know why we get, like, the
Maybe
worst.
the murders, maybe.
But it's just we get the worst rep.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
But the thing about Chicago and the South Side is, like, when one of us makes it, we all make it.
Everybody loves being, like, they get proud.
Because then once you do that, you're like, wait, if they can do it, then I can do it.
Yeah.
I went to school with that guy, or I seen him at a house party one time, or he's from the same neighborhood, or she's from the same neighborhood, or they are from the same neighborhood. Like,
yeah.
Why can't I do it? And then that creates this circle of, like,
inspiration.
That's the Southside Dream, is to make it. Like,
nice.
You know? So that's why when I use that, it's like to the single mother that's, like, working hard to fucking get out and give a better house for their kids, hoping for that. Or the kid that's in the ghetto, like, man, I don't want to bang. I want to go to college. I want to do this. Or to the independent father hoping to be a store owner. Or, like, anyone coming from whatever part of the world coming to the South Side of Chicago, like, I'm here. I can make it. That is the Southside Dream. Like, that is what holds the most importance to me. And to me, that is why my brand is so important, because I may be the owner of my brand, but I am that person with living and wanting to have that Southside Dream. That's like, I'm going to get out of here one day, man. And
hell yeah,
I'm going to take my kids and we're going to look back at everything, and everyone's going to be able to look, and, like, I'm never going to see, you know, if God gives me the light, like, to be successful enough. Everyone has their idea of success. Mine would be to be able to support my children off of the creatives I do and be able to be around them. That is my idea of success, or I'm successful with my brand.
I mean, that is success.
Yeah. You know, I don't need, like, where some brands, like, hey, man, do you, bro? Like, I don't need to, like, have rappers wear my shit. That'd be cool as fuck. Or having sports figures, or, like, famous people wear my shit. Like, if it happens, so be it, and I will appreciate it.
And you know what? If you keep doing your thing, it's gonna happen.
And when it does, you know, I'll be able to appreciate it. But to me, this, if anyone wants to know what is my idea of success, is being able to not work, first of all, not work for somebody, work for myself, pay my bills off of my creatives, and be able to see my daughters grow up. Spend the last remaining years, whether it be 2 years, 5 years, or 20 years with my mother.
That's what's up,
And
man.
that to me that's all I can do, man.
That's what's up.
I create this brand, yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing all this.
Always,
and,
man. Thank you for having me, man.
Have a good luck. I know that's a weird way to put it, but
Yeah, I mean, it's all
That's
about
what
being
you-
consistent and all that, and patience is a virtue, man. Patience is that. It's
keep doing your thing and
yeah.
Spread the love, like you said. Everybody
Got to.
out there listening, spread a little bit of love, and feel free to look up AJ on social media. What's your tags?
So both of my IGs is Southside Dreams, Southside_Dreams, and the other one is South_Street Food.
There you have it. All right, AJ. Thanks for
Nah,
being
man,
on the show.
thank you so much for having me, man. I really
For
appreciate
sure.
you, man.
Thanks for
and thank you
everything.
to everyone. Suicide Awareness Month. Let me give a shout out to that. It's okay to not be okay. Please speak about it. If you're not feeling okay, no matter what you identify as, no matter what point of life you come from, we all feel the same. We all hurt the same. Please just speak out. Your life is worth it. And a lot of us would rather have you be here than seeing you in any other worse situation. Your life is completely valuable. Please reach out to people, find the help. You could always message me on my socials on questions on how I got the therapy. And if I can physically help you in any way find that therapy, I'm more than welcome to reach out. But just please understand that life is valuable. You're here for a reason, and please just make the best of it and stay positive, fool.
Thank you, AJ.
No worries, man. Thank you.